Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking the first of two looks through my collection of vintage TV tie-ins. Now this is by no means all of it, and some of it I've already covered in other videos before, such as the Doctor Who books or some of the Star Trek books. But TV tie-ins have always had a very special place in my heart. They're amongst the very earliest books that I ever read, and I still love them to this day. So that will be the subject of today's video. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so I think we'll start with looking at this book here, which is the TV Chimes book by Speer. Now, I've had this a long time. I'm guessing probably 20 years, maybe. Let's just have a look. Yeah, 1997. So it's a great book because obviously it focuses on historical books. It's absolutely packed with information, and in a lot of cases it's absolutely spot on. So I've sort of used this on and off as a bit of a guide. You see, sort of like I've got some of my own writing in here because it is designed as a bit of a checklist. Now, I've no idea quite how easy it would be to get your hands on one of these. However, I would strongly recommend it. It is specifically a bibliography of American TV tie-ins, but it does have British stuff in here. So, for example, the Girl from Uncle books, which we've got a few to look at today, only a couple of them were printed in the States yet. At least one of them, although the book says two, were British exclusives. So we'll have a little look at that as well. So I've not pulled out every TV tie-in by any means. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I've already done multi-part videos, and these are still ongoing on my Doctor Who Target book paperbacks, which are amongst the very first that I ever read, as well as a couple of videos on my classic Star Trek books, although by no means is that finished. There's still more to go on them. And other sort of series, like, for example, The Invaders. I've done a sort of a whole overview of my Invaders collection, which included those books. So they're also not included in these videos. But it's the sort of stuff in between, really. Sometimes there's maybe just an odd book that had a TV tie-in. Other times there's a few of them. So that is what we're going to look at today. So let's get started straight away with, probably one of the more obscure ones. So Doctor Who fans will probably remember a very peculiar practice. This was the series that I believe Davison did right after Doctor Who, as I recall. When was this? Yeah, so 88. So yeah, he'd already left the role of the Doctor, and then he became a teacher. Actually, no, he was a doctor at a university, so he interacted with a lot of the teachers and the students, but he was actually the Doctor. Very, very good. Andrew Davis was the writer. Yeah, Peter Davison as Stephen Dacre. And this is absolutely typical, where a TV series had a level of popularity. I wouldn't have said it was that popular, but it is a great show. There were 2 seasons of this one. Yeah, there it is. There's the TV time. Now, onto something quite a bit more exciting, and that is the Avengers. So, such a shame. We recently, as I filmed this, we lost Diana Rigg, a great icon, as Miss Peel. But the Avengers was a hugely popular TV show back in its day, and it spawned a few books over here. So these were the first two, and these are Hodder books. This was the original one, Deadline, actually written by John Steed himself, Patrick McNee. I don't know if they, if he did write these or if they were ghost written under his name. First published 1965. Yeah, so copyright Patrick McNee and Peter Leslie. Well, Peter Leslie is a name who is synonymous with TV tie-ins and has written loads of them over the years. He wrote some of the Uncle books, so, and this one the year after. So I would say he probably, McNee may have come up with an idea and Leslie put them into practice, as it were. But both quite nice books, both quite scarce these days compared to these ones, which were these ones published a bit later by Panther Books. So there's 4 of these, I believe, in this series. 1967. Quite tricky to find nowadays in really sort of nice condition. I've gone through several copies, and these are still the best ones I've got. The floating game here. This is probably the most common one. The laugh was on Lazarus. And then that one there, the passing of Gloria Monday. Now, this was a case where America had, I think they had 12 Avengers books. And in fact, that's just the sort of thing I would look up in my book of TV tie-ins. So let's have a look. So, looking in my book of TV tie-ins here, under the Avengers section here, gives when the show was aired on ABC in the States. They were numbered over there, and they went up to number 9. But it does also mention the British ones as well in the series, which is really good. So there you go. Once again, good little reference guide that. So yeah, I'm after the Avengers in the US editions. I think they're really good. I have had odd ones over the years, but for some reason I don't seem to have them now. But definitely very, very nice and a great series, the Avengers. Also included sort of in my TV tie-ins are books, paperbacks about the series. So sometimes these are like little guides to the shows, which I just like to have handy, just to sort of have when I'm watching an episode. I quite like to look up the episode and see what might be included in these little ones. They did quite a few of those. That particular trio of authors, in fact, Andy Lane was another one from that stable. He did the similar sort of thing with the Babylon 5 series. I haven't got all the Babylon 5 books, but I absolutely love the series. It was fantastic in its day. I really did. Another great, great show, but once again, not really spoken of these days, and that's Between the Lines. There he is, Neil Pearson there. I'm probably going to do a whole video on Between the Lines. There's very little in the way of merchandise for it. But the main actor there, Neil Pearson, recently he was in all the Bridget Jones movies, so that's one of his things. But he's actually a book dealer, and he deals in real rare antiquarian books, sometimes from association libraries as well. And actually, I've met him a couple of times now at various book fairs. I am going to do a feature on Between the Lines as a separate video, because it's just such a great, great police series, and there was 3 seasons of that one. But that's a time for that. Now here's one which I'm sure many people have heard of, and that's Blake 7. So there's a few books based on this. I'm not sure exactly what order they came in, but I have a few sort of in my collection here. So we got this one, Project Avalon, which I think was a later series, on season 4 one. This one was written by Paul Darrow, played Avon, of course, in the series. This was a US edition, 1991. That. There was the Great Programme Guide. So if you are in the UK, Blake 7, the whole lot now, all 52 episodes, is available on streaming service BritBox, which can be recommended. There's another one there, Scorpio Attack. Citadel Press. This is another American edition of Scorpio Attack. And then we got the British, I think this was the very original one by Trevor Hall. So there's some Blake 7 books. Great, great series, Blake 7. Really enjoy it if you've never sort of watched or got around to watching. It's only 52 episodes, created by Terry Nation, creator of the Daleks, of course. Good show. So The Champions, The Sixth Sense's Death by John Garforth, another name, wrote a lot of TV tie-ins. There we are. William Gaunt there, Alexandra Bastido. So this was another odder one. 1969. Look at that, and it's got a little tipped-in copyright. You don't see that very often in books, and if you do, they're usually torn out. I've got a couple of old Pelicans and Penguins which have got those in. Quite a nice one, that. Quite scarce as well. The Champions book. This is unusual. So this is for Sitcom Dad's Army, and this is sort of a pan one, really, because it's their sort of junior imprint Piccolo. And this is just Dad's Army comic strips. I don't think these were reprinted. I don't know if they were like in a national or a Sunday paper and then reprinted. But there you are. Quite unusual, isn't it? That's just 1973. yeah, it doesn't actually say if they were printed anywhere else, but there they are. Quite a nice little Dad's Army book. Danger Man. Now, I've definitely got more Danger Man and Secret Agent books, but once again, weirdly, I've not been able to put my hand on it. I have, in fact, got the very original book that came out in the States, which wasn't a tie-in. It didn't say Secret Agent on it. It's like that title. It doesn't mention Danger Man anywhere. I believe it's in my Dale collection, but once again, I couldn't quite get my hands on it. But not to worry, but there were several Danger Man books and Secret Agent as they were in the States. Here's another really odd one. So Drop the Dead Donkey. Who sort of remembers this? I mean, in actual fact, got Neil Pearson in it, but quite a varied cast. It was famous for being incredibly topical, a bit like Spitting Image, and some of the script was sort of done literally on the day that it was filmed, and then it was put out the following Sunday. So it was highly, highly topical. Another real weird one here. Piccolo again. Freewheelers. This is more youngsters series based on the Southern Television Network series. I wonder if you can recognise that lady on the front there. And that is Wendy Padbury, who was, of course, in Doctor Who. There we are. A bit of an unusual one, that. Freewheelers. But as I said, this is not every tie-in book I've got, but it is quite a selection of some of the more unusual bits. Girl from Uncle. So I have already done a video on my Man from Uncle collection. I've not touched on the Girl from Uncle. So that's the Birds of a Feather. That's a US edition of the Birds of a Feather affair. Michael Avalon, of course. Then we've got the British ones here. So we've got the Globals affair. Birds of a Feather affair. Now I've got, for some reason, I've got two of these by Michael Avalon. Now usually it means there's a slight variation in them. So this one does say it's the first in May 1967. Sometimes they've got a picture in the front. But this one hasn't. Reprinted June 67. So that's the original, and there's a reprint there. So that's why there's a couple in there. I don't generally keep reprints. Number 3 there, which I don't think was published in the States. And then you've got this one here, the Cornish Pixie Affair, which definitely wasn't published in the States. So this one can tend to go for a few pounds because it was only released in the UK. Never really got into The Girl from Uncle, not Stephanie Powers. I mean, it was fine. I watched the odd one, but you wouldn't go through and binge them all. And then another real weird one from Console Books, The Human Jungle, based on the highly successful ABC TV series starring Herbert Lom. There he is there. Herbert Lom, of course, famous for the Pink Panther movies. And this is like a police drama, as I recall, The Human Jungle. Herbert Lom plays a psychiatrist, Dr. Roger Corder. There we are. And it says it's based on the scripts from 3 episodes of the ABC television series, The Human Jungle. And that was often the case. So a TV tie-in might well, all the Doctor Who's, generally speaking, originally were based on actual episodes from the TV series. The original Star Treks by James Blish were the same. If a series was supremely popular, then you would start to get original stories based on the concept. And, sometimes that would happen. Anyway, I'm just going to pause there. I'm going to pull the camera out a little bit and we'll do that like the next part. So next we've got a few MASH books. Now, I absolutely love MASH. I think it still holds up very, very well today. The stories are great. The scripts are great. The acting is great. Really, really good. So there was, I believe, about 12 or 14 MASH books, maybe even more than that. I've only got a selection. I do pick them up when I see them, but they used to be everywhere in the 80s, and now you just don't seem to see them around anything like as much as you did. Very easy to pick up off eBay. It might just take you a while, but like a lot of my sort of TV time books, the fun is finding them out in the wild, and in second-hand shops and things like that. I've been listening to the Six Gun Justice podcast recently, and they did an episode on Western TV tie-ins, and I don't have a single one because I've never really collected Westerns. I've had them through my hands over the years, loads and loads of them, but I've never actually really collected them. that alone, warrants a book in itself. Just Western TV tie-ins. I've suggested Paul Bishop actually write such a book because I think he's pretty much got everything now. So, Mission Impossible. Once again, this will be subject to its own video at some point where I pull all my Mission Impossible bits and pieces together. Certainly the books and that. But they had a few American paperbacks. This is a very early season one. Where they got Dan Briggs, who only lasted the one season and didn't get on. Typical in American style when they number them. So number 2 there. Yes, here's Jim Phelps on the front. Number 3, codename Rapier. And there's number 4, codename Little Ivan. So I believe that's all 4. Not in the greatest of shape, but they are, after all, copies, and that's the main thing. Now, I've also got 4 Mission Impossible. These 2 here, and these are like, these are Whitman. They're not big little books, they're TV storybooks, I think is what they're officially called. And there was 2 for Mission Impossible, although they did loads of them, absolutely loads, for almost every series out there. There's a really nice Star Trek one, which I've got the facsimile of, but I'm trying to get the proper first edition of. So 1969, sometimes they give a little list of, so here's some of the other ones in the series on the back here, and as you can see, TV favourites: Bonanza, Garrison Guerrillas, Lassie, Monkeys, Rat Patrol, Star Trek, 2 Man from U.N.C.L.E. 1, I Spy, F Troop, The Invaders, which I've got, and Big Valley. They're great. Nice little stories. These were sort of, so the big little books were for the absolute youngsters, real youngsters. These were more like teenagers upwards. So not exactly going to put you, but apparently when you start working your way through some of these, the actual stories are actually really good. I would imagine they're probably hit or miss, but a few people say they're great. There's one with, later one here with Nimoy on the front when he joined the Mission Impossible team. But they're really nice, and as I said, I really love Mission Impossible to this day. I absolutely love the show. I think it's fantastic. It's a bit silly, let's be honest, but it's great fun, and certainly shows such as Hustle remind me very much of Mission Impossible. Now, here's a series which you probably wouldn't really know about unless you grew up in the 80s, in the early 80s in the UK, and that's The Nightmare Man. A very sort of, I think it was a 6-part series. I don't know if it's even been released, but I remember it being really good. As a youngster, I was only about 10 at the time. Quite an unusual and probably quite an obscure TV tie-in, that one. Now, the last little batch we're going to look at today all relate to one of my, well, probably is my all-time favourite sitcom, and that's Porridge. So the BBC's Porridge, there he is, Norman Stanley Fletcher. He sentenced to 5 years in Slade Prison, and that series was massively popular. It still is to this day, and these basically adapt. Each book adapts a season of the TV show. So that is, I believe, the very first one for Porridge. Then we got season 2, which is another stretch of Porridge. Here we are, and I've got quite a bit of Porridge memorabilia, much more than you could ever believe, to be honest. Records and posters and some signed photos and all sorts. So I am probably going to do a video looking at Porridge as a TV show as well. Further stress, this is the final series with the specials included. There we are. So that's the 3 paperbacks. Then you had Porridge: The Inside Story. So this is how the this is the movie adaptation, isn't it? Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, this is the movie adaptation. It's not what you might think. It looks like it's a making of the series, but it's absolutely not. It's actually the movie adaptation. And then we've got this one here, which is the hardback of another stretch of Porridge. Now, these in hardback are supremely rare, published by BBC again. You just do not see these around. I can't for the life of me remember where I got it. It's rare. Very, very rare. That Porridge hardback. No idea where that one came from. Now, when Porridge finished, there was the he got out of prison and then he went Going Straight, which also ran for a season. It's nowhere near as good as Porridge, but it has its moments. So it's sort of it is worth looking at as a bit of sort of an epilogue to the series. Another real weird sort of tie-in is Ronnie Barker, but he put Fletcher's Book of Rhyme and Slang. So basically, he's using his popularity to write his own book. And don't forget, back at this time, Ronnie Barker and Ronnie Corbett were releasing books all the time based on their Two Ronnies stuff. So that's probably why that one came out, once they get a bit more unusual. And the very last one we're looking at is also a loose Porridge time, but also supremely unusual and quite scarce, I believe. And that's, once again, Richard Beckinsale. So Richard Beckinsale was Fletcher's bunkmate in prison. They shared a cell together, and massive heartthrob back in his day. You may recognise the name. He's actually the father of Kate Beckinsale, the actress. Richard Beckinsale died very young. I think he was only about 40 when he passed away, which was very, very sad. But he did release this sort of book of his poetry, of all things. So quite a tenuous tie-in to Porridge, but I kept it with sort of my Porridge collectibles, and certainly one to look out for, because I think that's probably quite scarce. That anyway, that is the first sort of half of the TV Times that we're going to have a look at. I've got another video which will be out in about a week's time, and this will look at part 2. And don't forget, if you are specifically interested in, say, the Doctor Who, the Star Trek, the Invaders, My Man from U.N.C.L.E., those have all got separate videos looking at the books and comics and hardbacks that were released for those particular series. So there we go. I hope you have enjoyed that today. If you have, do please give it a thumbs up. Do please consider subscribing for regular vintage paperback content, and I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.